What's going on, guys? We're back to look at Sylvan Might, which has been a little while in the making. Um, but I am a fan of monocolor aggressive decks, and I'm a fan of elves, so this works out very well for me. So let's start off with Jorga Warcaller. Multi-kicker means you can pay that amount anytime, so 5 mana gets you 2+1/+1 counters on him, and he gives all the other elves +1/+1 for each counter on him, which is awesome. So he stays in there because at the very worst, he's an old elf lord that doesn't have Forest Walk or Grant Forest Walk. But at the same point, he's still a 2/2 for 3 mana that pumps all your other elves. Taunting Elf is interesting, but you don't need him. So I'm going to take out the Taunting Elves. Essence Wardens are solid. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain +1/+, or you gain 1 life. Lets you keep ahead really well, because it's not just your creatures that you play, it's your opponents as well. Glade Cover Scout, Hexproof 1/1 for 1 mana. You cannot be upset with that. When you start pumping it with other cards later, it gets out of control. I'm going to try and leave them all in here for now. We might have a few too many 1-drops. 12 1-drops is a little bit, but I'd like to go down to like 8. So if we can get 8, that'd be perfect. Which I think we can do, but I also want to keep... I don't know if I want Rankers. Yeah, I do want Rankers. Scout attacks. Untap each other creature you control. It's cool. It's nifty. But most of the time, you're attacking in situations where most of your elves are going to live anyway because they're all stronger with all the other elves out. So you don't really need to untap them because, I mean, you basically just get to attack with the one more creature then and then risk that creature dying. So I'm going to say no to the Copper Scout, or the Copperhorn Scout. I do like the Spike Tracer. It can't be blocked except by creature with flying or reach, so it's basically almost unblockable. So when you start pumping it real big later, they have to throw flyers in front of it, which is awesome. Or they just take damage. Ranker's always solid. +2/+0 has Trample, and when it dies, you return it from your graveyard to your hand. Awesome with the Glade Cover Scout. I mean, they can't target it to remove it in response. So, yeah, we'll keep that. The Insist is the next creature card, or the next creature spell you cast this turn can't be countered by spells or abilities. Draw a card. It's nice because it replaces itself. But there's only a couple decks that play... If it gave you, like, if this was an instant and said that you could cast it at instant speed and draw a card, then I would play that, because that would be solid and it would replace itself and it would do stupid things. But with this, you'd have to cast it during your turn. And, I mean, if you cast it too late, they're going to counter that and then counter the next thing you play. But, so I'm going to say no to that. Fauna Shaman is interesting. I don't think it fits well in this deck. Fauna Shaman's goal is to get out big, scary creatures. And, I mean, if you look at the mana curve right now, this is with all of the cards in the deck that, you know, this is definitely, you know, not our goal is to get to this mana. Our goal is this mana here, the 3 and the 4 spot. Gaia's Herald, creature spells can't be countered. I mean, if you're really that worried about your creature spells being countered, you should not be playing this deck because you're going to lose the dodge and burn. Just hands down because of all of their mass removal, unless you get a real big creature real fast and can keep it out there. The fact that your creature spells are going to get countered does not help you in that situation. So I'm going to say no to the Gaia's Herald. Elvish Vanguard, whenever another elf enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on him. He's not bad. I'll keep him in there for now. Talara's Battalion. Trample 4/3 for 2 mana, but you have to cast another spell, another green spell that turn, which isn't too bad. You can drop it on turn 3 with like a Essence Warden and then Talara. That's not bad. Gem Palm Strider, cycle 4. When you cycle it, all your elves get +2/+2 until end of turn, but that's a lot, and we really don't have the 2 spot that I want. So I'm going to get rid of those guys. Sorry for the yawn. We have some Well-Wishers here. Gain 1 life for each elf you control. lets you stay in the game for a ridiculously long time until all your creatures just get out of control. Nissa's Chosen, also just ridiculous. I wish Nissa was in the deck because Nissa's amazing, but we don't have any Nissas. We have a couple in our shop, but that doesn't help us right now. So, I'm going to keep the Nissas in here, the Nissa's Chosen in here. They're much better with Nissas, but they're still good. Izuri, Renegade Leader, or Ezurai. Regenerate another target elf, and then elves have Overrun. It's not bad. I'm going to keep him in there, and just for the fact that you can keep all your elves alive. But with that, we don't really need Collar of the Claw, especially because we don't need the 2/2 bears. And there aren't that many huge board wipes. At least that you're going to want to play, Dodge and Bird's going to keep you under pretty well. Collar of the Claw is nice if you're playing against, like, mono black and they, like, mutilate. Which might not be bad. I'm trying to think. Might not be as good as it could be, though. Like, you have to keep up the 3 mana. You have to flash him in. You have to wait. And, like, your 3 is probably your most important turn to play something. So, I'm going to say no to the Collar of the Claw. Groundbreaker, you do not need. Trample, Haste, and Stack It. He's a Ball Lightning. Green Ball Lightning from Planar Chaos. Imperious Perfect is amazing. One of the best elf cards ever. 3 mana for a 2/2 that gives all your other elves +1/+1 and puts out 1/1 elf warriors. Sick. Timberwatch Elf. Target creature gets +X/+X until on a turn where X is the number of elves you control. Obviously, in an elf themed deck, that those are kind of essential. Is there really only one Imperious Perfect? Ugh. Elvish Branch Bender. I don't feel like we need him. He makes a forest become an XX tree folk where X is the number of elves you control. So, I mean, he can make like a 4/4 forest or a 6/6 forest or something. But at the same time, it doesn't have trample. And if you make your creature, or you make your lands creatures and you don't have the mana to support it after, it can be bad. So I'm going to say no on him. Beastmaster's Ascension is cool. Once it has 7 or more quest counters, it gives all your creatures +5/+5, but you don't need that. Like, between him and the Immaculate Magistrate that's down this way a little bit, you really have no problem with your creatures not measuring up to other creatures. You just roll over them. So I'm going to get rid of that. Alpha status, +2/+2 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares a creature type with it. I'm not a fan of enchantments. I'm not a fan of enchantment creatures because it allows your opponent the opportunity to 2-for-1 you very easily. Whether they cast it with it on the stack, which is a reason I'm really enjoying Bestow, or they cast it after you hit it. Bestow makes it so that doesn't happen, and your enchantments are just straight up, this guy is humping this guy, and if he dies, then I get a creature. Like, even Totem Armor wasn't that. Like, it's Bestow is better than Totem Armor. So I'm going to get rid of Alpha status. The Blanchwood Armor is the same concept as the previous enchantment. I'm not a fan of enchantments. Your elves have no problem getting bigger on their own, so you don't need it. Reveal the top X card of your library. You may put any number of permanent cards that convert mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Then put all cards revealed this way that weren't put onto the battlefield into your graveyard. If you had the elves that were pumping and mana excelling you like crazy, I would definitely play Genesis Wave. But so often, I win games on 5 mana. The Genesis Wave is just not necessary. And even like super late game, if you have 8 mana out, you're only casting it for 5. And there's a good chance, like, with this, like, I average 2 creatures. So, like, that's just a little too risky for me. So I'd rather not do that. I'm going to go to 3 Lead the Stampede for now. Lead the Stampede isn't bad. You look at the top 5 cards of your library, reveal any number of creatures, put them in your hand, the rest of them bottom of your library in any order. Immaculate Magistrate, we said, was amazing. 4 mana for a 2/2 that puts +1/+1 counters to target creature for each elf you control. Gets out of hand real fast. Heedless 1, power and toughness equal to number of elves you control. And trample. Number of elves on the battlefield. I'm sorry, not elves you control, elves on the battlefield. So if you're playing in a mirror, Heedless 1 is huge. So definitely play all the Heedless ones. Sylvan Messenger, 4 mana, enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library, helps if I can talk. Put all elf cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. The mana is just a little too high. I feel like it's a little too up there for a 2/2. You do get a look at the top 4. Most of the time you're going to get at least 1 card from it, but you don't really need it. I've been playing it without them, and I really enjoy it without them. But we'll see what happens. I might put some more back in here, just depending on what our curve looks like. Like, I've got the essentials in here right now, and I mean I really enjoy that list so far. Let's see what else we want. Slate of the Ancestry. Discard your hand, draw a card for each creature you control. I mean, it's not bad, but you don't really need to get to that point in the game. You're going to cast it like turn 7, use it turn 8, and you're going to get like 4 or 5 cards. Which, I mean, will throw you into the victory, most likely, unless you're really behind, then it doesn't help you at all. Reveal the first card you draw each turn. Whenever you reveal a creature card this way, draw a card. So it lets you draw 2 cards when you start drawing creatures, but you just don't need it. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great. It's going to be my logic on a lot of these cards. Is they're not bad cards, they're not great cards though. Like everything that we have before here is just great for elves. Every single card here is in my top tier. I enjoy this elf significantly. And in this kind of a sealed environment, this elf deck is very solid. It just loses to board wipe. Force you control are 1/1 green elf creature tokens and are still elf creatures and are still lands. Let's see. I seem to recall a game that I played where someone did that and then I pyroclasmed or volcanic fallout and they lost everything. So this card doesn't seem that good. So I'm going to say no. Please don't play this card. There are going to be situations where it's amazing, but there's going to be a lot of games where you want to just keep this card in your hand because you're afraid of losing every single land you control. So I'm going to say no to that. I know it seems a little awkward because we're like, I want to get as many elves out as possible, but you don't want to destroy all your lands or risk losing all your lands. It can be devastating. You can drop it and win with it. If you have a Heedless one out and you're like, boom, 5 more elves, 6 more elves this turn. My Heedless one's now like a 13/13. And then we'll pump it with the Immaculate Magistrate and the Timberwatch elf, and then it's huge and we win. But it's a little too much. Voice of the Woods. Tap 5 untapped elves you control. Put a 7/7 green elemental creature token with trample on the battlefield. He's good. I like him a lot. But you actually have to get the 5 untapped elves. And if you have the 5 untapped elves, you're probably winning the game anyway. So you don't really need them. You don't really need the Seedborn Muse either because you don't have cards to play during their turn. Like, that's the benefit of Seedborn Muse. That's why Seedborn Muse is amazing, is because you can just play cards during your turn. And then play cards during their turn. You can just do whatever you want, whenever you want. So I'm going to say no to the Seedborn Muse. Weatherseed Treefolk. I'm actually a big fan of this card. This is trample 5/5 for 3 or 5/3 for 5 mana. And when he dies, you return it to your hand. So like you play him, he dies, comes back to your hand. You play him again, he dies, comes back to your hand. You play him again, he dies, he comes back to your hand. You play him again. So I like him. He's one of those late game creatures that just sticks onto the board real well. Coat of Arms. The same thing I've been saying. You just don't need it. You have so many ways to pump your creatures. Your creatures get so out of control so fast. You win turn 5 or turn 6 every game. Coat of Arms is just not necessary. Creatures you control have hexproof. Regenerate target creature. This is very good. This helps you out in a lot of situations. Um, it the ability to regenerate your creatures is awesome, but the fact that your creatures can no longer be targeted by your opponent, amazing. So I'm going to keep that in there. Um, Verdant Embrace, +2/+3 at the beginning of your upkeep, put out Sapling. I mean, not bad, not good. Same thing that I have with my enchantment. I'm not a fan of enchantments because creatures just die and then you lose everything. And, Magic is a game about card advantage, and when you throw away an opportunity, or you give your opponent an opportunity to get card advantage on you for something crazy, you know, it just doesn't help you. And it's not like it pumps it that much. All of our creatures are like 1/1s. If we have nothing out, we put a Verdant Embrace on it, then it's a 4/4. So, I mean, it's not that great. So I'm going to get rid of those. Enlarge. +7/+7, trample, must be blocked this turn. I'm not a fan of it. My idea of +7/+7 is instant speed might evokes. So Enlarge just does not cut it for me. We're actually going to have an extra card, so we're going to have to go back through here and add another card back in, which will probably end up being the Collar of the Claw, if I were to pick one out of here. Mystic Proportions, +8/+8, has Trample. Again, same thing with my dislike of enchantments. And Biorhythm, each player's life total becomes the number of creatures he or she controls. I mean, you can just kill someone with Biorhythm. I mean, 8 mana, they lose the game if they don't have creatures, but you have no way to determine whether or not they have creatures or not. So if you had like some way to wrath the board, play a dude, and then Biorhythm, then that'd be good, but I'm going to say no to Biorhythm. So we do need that extra card. I am going to go with the Collar of the Claw. It's very situational, but it will be very solid against a lot of the decks that have the mass removal. So I feel like that'll help you out a good bit. So I'm looking through here. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I really feel like we should have in the deck. And it doesn't look like it. So here's our list. We're looking at 3 Jorga Warcallers, 3 Essence Wardens, 1 Glade Clover Scout, 1 Spire Tracer, 2 Rankers, 1 Elvish Vanguard, 1 Talara's Battalion, 4 Well-Wishers, 3 Nissa's Chosen, 1 Izuri, 1 Collar of the Claw, 1 Imperious Perfect, 4 Timberwatch Elves, 3 Lead the Stampedes, 2 Immaculate Magistrates, 3 Heedless Ones, 1 Weatherseed, Tree Folk, and an Asceticism. So, let me know what you guys think of the list. I am running 24 lands. It's a very creature-heavy list. We have a total of 6 non-creature spells in the deck. 2 of them are Rancor, 3 of them are Lead the Stampede, and 1 of them is something else, and the Asceticism. So, I mean, it is a very creature-heavy deck, very powerful, very strong. I like it a lot. Let me know what you guys think. See you later. Bye.